interestingly enough, when we talked with Tony Baldwin, you know, he mentioned the fact that it's rare, first of all, to have two lefties on staff, but also that they kind of have similar stuff. What does Randy have to come back with this time, maybe a little bit different against these Ole Miss batters?
I think she's got to stay in the zone. That was the issue for her in game one. There was 12 walks issued from the Georgia staff in game one, and that, as you and I know, we lived through it, a 3-hour-plus ball game, and it came down to the free passes.
Well, Ole Miss leading things off. Taylor Malvin starting it off. She's the table setter, but when you think about Ashton Lansdale and the job that she's done, she's got 3 home runs in the last 3 games. Can she make it 4? She had a grand slam Thursday, a 3-run shot yesterday. And so Lansdale has done some damage at the plate, but Taylor Malvin, we've seen her throughout this series and all season long really do a nice job of finding ways to get on base. She was limited yesterday. Had a couple of strikeouts, but Malvin is a junior out of Johns Creek, Georgia, so back home here and hitting .500 thus far in these 2 games here in Athens. And starts this game off with a base hit, pulls it to right. So a leadoff base hit for Taylor Malvin. And she's 5 for 9 in the series. So let's check out the scouting report on Randy Rowling.
This is a lefty arm that, described by head coach Tony Baldwin, when she's on, she is untouchable. A mid-60 arm transfer from the West Coast. Dance the ball low in the zone. But none of that matters if she can't keep it in the zone. And that was the challenge, as we mentioned, not just for Rowling, but for this entire staff in game one.
The sophomore out of Modesto, California, delivers ball too high to Jaden Pone. Pone, who entered the series red hot, was excellent in the month of April thus far. But so far in this series, just a couple of hits, 2 for 8 to be exact.
Yeah, through the whole month of April was batting .583 coming into this weekend. 12 multi-hit games through SEC play. When you pair that with the speed she had, again, coming into this weekend, 12 stolen bases, you just don't want to put Pone on a base, let alone a free one. Takes a walk. Already a meeting happening in the circle. You got to imagine they're trying to prevent potentially the wheels falling off early like we saw in game one.
It was Rowling who issued 5 walks when she started off that game Thursday. And the first issued here today to Jaden Pone, who's standing at first. So first 2 batters aboard for Ole Miss. And Aaliyah Benford now coming up to the plate. Benford, a new face of the program, leading the team in doubles and RBI. Coming over from Baylor. And now a wonderful opportunity for her and her team to get on the board and strike first.
I enjoyed watching her compete for the Bears. I continue to love watching her compete now for the Rebels, no matter what uniform she's got on. I think her body of work has really spoken for itself. Offensively in the circle, just one of the more aggressive athletes I've had the pleasure of just calling play on. A senior that comes into this weekend, 12 doubles, 6 home runs, a .352 average. We saw her throw yesterday in the circle as well. Just a really confident and swaggy young woman. Loves to play this game.
Comeback player of the year by a media outlet, second team all Big 12, and now trying to do her damage here. And when Coach Jamie Traxel described just the type of player that she is, she says, when you look at Aaliyah Benford stand at the plate, she's got a violent swing.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
gets underneath that one. Coming in charging in left field is Jaden Goodwin and collects out number 1.
It's a big out for Rolling. You give up a leadoff base hit, you give up a free bag. The last person you want to see is Binford at the plate. And the fact that she can disrupt the timing just a bit. Binford out front on that pitch. She gets the fly out.
The freshman Percy Yamas, and Yamas, who has made all of her time count thus far in her first season with the program. The freshman out of Eastvale, California. And there, the opposite field base hit, and they're winding around Tyler Malvin, and Malvin comes in to score the first run, an RBI single for Percy Yamas. And that's so much of what Jamie Traxel has seen out of her freshman this season producing.
So much confidence. And Malvin never putting on the brakes. Why would you? With 9 stolen bases on the year, you know you've got the speed. Erin Earlywine standing in that third base coaching box, winding up that arm, sending her home. Speaking of Erin Earlywine in that third base box, a brand new coaching staff this season for Ole Miss. A lot of newness for this program, and Jamie Traxel at the helm. Earlywine had spent 11 seasons at Missouri. Had a 600-win career there. Specialized in offense and has just brought a ton of expertise to this team.
And the slow roller over to short, and Lexi Brady is not able to beat it out, and good charge there by Emily Digby to get her out at first. When you talk about big outs, that's another important one. You've got the single season leader in home runs, tied for that in the program record with 15. We have already seen Lexi Brady send one out, but Emily Digby able to back up her pitcher Rolling. And now 2 down for Mackenzie Pickens.
Pickens, another one of those freshman bats that's been a massive impact player for this team. Described by Jamie Traxel that this is a kid where how she is in one thing is how she is in everything. Her nutrition, her training, what she does in the weight room, the time she puts into preparation for this game. It just is who she is.
And I love that because she brings in a championship mindset. Out of Flowery Branch, went to high school at Buford High School, led her team to back-to-back 7A state titles here in the state of Georgia. And now with her talents being transported to Oxford, Mississippi. Again, the 6-3 put out to end the inning. A couple of runners left on base. 1 run pushed across.
An answer here in game 3.
Hey, one over, Melvin.
Second baseman Tyler Ellison takes strike 1 from Lopez.
What do you know? It's an off-speed pitch.
It's an off-speed pitch, just as you just talked about. When you look at this Georgia lineup, I mean, top to bottom, a lot of dangerous parts. Sarah Gordon, who has had herself a really nice series. 4 for 8 at a double and a home run, knocked in at 3 in the process. And Ellison had that 2-run home run shot already this weekend, and lines it right out to first, 1 away. Lopez, who had both of her games this series come in relief. She got the win in game 1.
24 stolen bases on the season for Dallas Goodnight. We saw her apply pressure in game 1. We saw her apply pressure in game 2. It is so hard to defend speed. Lexi Brady, though, did have a final word during game 1. She gunned her down at second base. This is just a freak athlete for Georgia. Tony Baldwin Went into great detail about the love for training, loves to work, very hyper aware of her talents within her body.
Good night, one of the 4 seniors honored before today's game. It's a piece of that one, fouls it off, still 1-2.
This is a set of legs that weekly works on her speed. When she entered the program here at Georgia, topped out at 18 miles an hour. And just last week hit 21 miles an hour. What?
Serious wheels. Scooting. But it's Lopez who gets the best of good night as she goes down swinging.
Starting to see a little bit different of a game plan, different pitch sequencing from Brianna Lopez in the circle. Still seeing the off speed early, but now going up in the zone for that chase pitch.
Another lefty in Lindy Ray Davis, and another senior as well. Of Calhoun, Georgia, already has earned her undergraduate degree and will be graduating with her master's this season, or this year rather, in sport management and policy. And Lindy Ray Davis gets a hold of that one into center field and allowed third out. And 3 up, 3 down for the Dogs. Lopez only spelled 10 pitches in that first inning. Now stands at the plate. In the 7th spot, first pitch swinging, and she's retired.
Battled a little bit of an injury the past week or so and didn't get to see her in game 1, and now get to see her start to settle in here in game 3. We were told it wasn't anything to be concerned about.
No. She was making a softball play and some contact with the wall, and she's all good.
She's all good.
She came back yesterday and back at it again today. Ashton Lansdale, who we featured in the lineup highlight. She's been sending and blasting the ball out of the park the last several games, and that's carried over in the 2 here in her home state.
We didn't see a lot of that pitch in game 1 from Rolling. When she did throw it, it was not through the zone, wasn't able to spot that pitch very well, but spots it there for strike 2 against Lansdale.
And Lansdale tags this one once again and out of the park over the left field fence. Ashton Lansdale with her 4th home run in 4 games. The last Ole Miss player to do that was Ansley Furbush last season.
Take note of the ownership and the confidence that just exudes from Lansdale right off the bat. Drops the bat, you get this flex of the arms, like she is completely locked in. In talking to Jamie Traxel about this young woman, she mentioned over and over about her engagement in the game, whether she's at the plate, in the dugout, in the bullpen, on defense. She is locked into this game in a way that is so different from the rest of her teammates.
And still relatively new to the sport of softball, played high school baseball, and did so at the JUCO level as well before transferring over from FIU. And boy, what a great addition she's been, and she just keeps getting hotter and hotter. Angelina DeLeon.
Well, and even just where she was in the count right there, right? A 1-ball, 2-strike count. She had just taken a changeup for a strike. She sees that off speed come in. She's patient with it. She's not out in front. She's able to keep the lower body back to drive that pull side. It's elite hitting. It must look like a beach ball to her at home plate right now. And I know that feeling. It's a great feeling when you're just seeing it. It's just right there.
We've seen this Ole Miss team have good cracks at it, have success at the plate, knock balls out of the park. They had a couple or 3 home runs Thursday, another one yesterday by Lansdale, and one more again here today. And when you think of, hey, the success, and you spoke to it before about just the new staff, right? Jamie Traxel has kind of taken on more of this managerial role, right? Where she is just overseeing and allowing everyone to do their strengths, as DeLeon is caught looking. So she sits down. Okay, the backwards way, the first for rolling.
Check the location of this pitch. That is in the river. That is in the river, and she's getting that call. Early in this game, Rolling and Miller, this battery, have to start to figure out what they can get away with. Struggled to find the strike zone when she got the start in game 1. It was a tight zone. You and I clocked that for sure in game 1, that specifically that pitch on the outer half was not getting called. That pitch opens up a whole new strategy for this lefty.
Well, for Malvin, who led off the game with a base hit, came around to score on that RBI single from Percy Yamas. We're back to the top again for the Rebels batting order for a second time. And the walk to Malvin to extend the inning. Well, Jamie Traxel in her 5th season at Ole Miss, looking to continue to build upon and try to march her way back towards Oklahoma City, where she did with one of her previous programs. And this is a group that she feels like is obviously hitting the ball exceptionally well. And going back to that point of that new coaching staff, you mentioned Aaron Earlywine, but also Bobby Buchanan helping to make those bats really come alive. She's all about defense, right? Defense is her jam.
Defense and pitching. She says it all the time. Pitching is life, and defense will win you championships. And that really gives way to both Aaron Earlywine and Bobby Buchanan to do their thing and own that offensive category for this team. She also brings on Nancy Evans, assistant coach, pitching coach, won 3 national titles at the University of Arizona in the mid-90s. I mean, she really has surrounded herself with some of the best talent in the coaching pool, and has a history of newness within her career. Has been to 4 different universities in 6 years. I mean, she talked extensively about what it's like to juggle that newness. She said, I've done it before and I'll continue to do it. And in my pursuit of greatness, it's part of the job.
And it's Malvin who takes off, and Miller gets her. Thrown out at second base, and credit Marissa Miller for throwing her out. Good. Providing new digs and an upgrade around here, is not only are they getting in preparation for the SEC tournament coming up in a few weeks, but also just solidifying their commitment to softball here.
I would probably not even go home. Like, I would just find a soft place to land at the end of the day. The snacks are here. The amenities are great. Vanity room, showers. Like, why go home?
Sean Stevenson, the SID here, was kind enough to point out one of the visions that Tony Baldwin had. And he said, in there, we need mirrors.
We need mirrors. We need somewhere where these young women could sit down and get ready. And he is so right. He said it literally was a middle of the night realization. He popped up in bed and thought, oh my gosh, we need lighting and we need mirrors. The bathroom can be chaos. We need to make a plan, and it is beautiful.
It was mint. I mean, that was a wonderful idea. And we walked in and said, oh, I wish we had that.
Yeah.
As Jaden Goodwin goes down swinging, Lopez records the strikeout, her second.
I mean, this is just a different look from Lopez than we saw in game one. Completely in control. I am still tracking it. She's faced 4 batters, and every single Georgia Bulldog has seen a changeup, if not in the first pitch, in the second at minimum.
Another swing and a miss. Already we've seen 5 from these Georgia batters. Sarah Gordon, who's had a hot series. Meanwhile, some defensive changes for Ole Miss as Angelina DeLeon moves to short and Aaliyah Binford pops over to third. And among the things that Jamie Traxel talked about within her defense, and specifically about players like an Angelina DeLeon, the fact that she can play anywhere in the infield, right? So they've moved her to the left side at third base when needed, as Goodwin tries to Gordon tries to drop that one in. It goes foul. But she's been able to play wherever needed.
Yeah.
Up the middle, left side, right side, you name it.
Well, in junior season, just last year, Traxel said, I think she was probably one of the best second basemen in the country, and now has locked it down a lot of time at third. You now see her move over to shortstop with the entrance of Boutte in the DP. Little battle at the plate for Sarah Gordon. A junior, an 8 home run season so far. Just one of the spark plugs for this offense for Georgia.
Waiting on that change up, and then lines it out to second base, 2 away. Emily Digby now stands in, the shortstop for the Bulldogs, their sophomore season. Digby hitting .288 on the year. After the break, we'll get an opportunity to catch up with Jamie Traxel, the Ole Miss head coach. Get her take on Lopez and the job that she's done starting out in the circle.
I think both of these teams probably looked back at game one and had quite a bit to unpack, quite a bit to discuss. We had described that game as both impressive and messy in a lot of different ways. I think the offensive display for both teams, there was a lot of bright and shining points, but in the circle and defensively at times, it was ugly.
Yeah, that was the most runs, 31 combined in an SEC game since 2010.
22 walks between both staffs. 2 grand slams.
It was pretty.
Over 3 hours we were on air.
A lot of SEC conference highs
Yeah,
set
my.
on Thursday
We
between these
joked
two teams.
with our production team, like, good luck doing a video recap
Right.
of that game. I don't know that it's possible.
Well, Digby thought about going on the overthrow, but stays put where she is, even though that throw from Brady went into the outfield.
Little baited throw, it looks like, from Digby. A huge lead off and pumps the brakes about halfway up the base path.
Marissa Miller, the catcher for Georgia, has already thrown out a batter to end the top half of this inning, and now she stands at the plate. The opposite field base hit for Marissa Miller. So 2 on and 2 out now for Georgia, trailing by 2. And Mua Williams preparing to step up to the plate as Marissa Miller, a nice piece of hitting. And when you think about the Georgia Bulldogs, you normally see them drive the ball the opposite way, typically kind of lower in the zone. And in the back half of the season, Tony Baldwin's crew is kind of gotten back to that formula that's been very consistent and common throughout the years for Georgia batters.
Well, if history repeats itself, looking back at my scorecard from game 1 in the second inning, Mua Williams just in the second went 2 for 2 with a home run and a double.
So you're suggesting that they batted around. It was an extended inning.
It was a long inning. It was one of those innings that was riddled with free bases, a lot of walks, a lot of runs scored, 5 runs in that inning. Excuse me, 7 runs in that inning with 5 hits.
So the battery for Ole Miss having a quick conversation with Brady and Brianna Lopez. And Lopez gathers and delivers the pitch. Lua Williams going around on that one as on that swing, Brady drops it. The runners advance now into scoring position. So you see Miller there at second, Digby now at third. The 1-1. Lua Williams pokes out to get that one and flies out to right. So 2 runs.
One of the teams that got to walk the field prior to the game. It's one of my favorite parts about pregame.
Jaden Pone flies out in foul territory. Sarah Gordon is right there. That was what was so cool, and we both talked about it, how everyone came onto the field. They had the elementary school or middle school chorus to sing the national anthem, and it was Daddy-Daughter Day. It was all the youth leagues all on the field. Just good times.
Seeing a lot of daddy-daughter duos in the stands today. So if my dad is listening, sending you some love. Huge part of my story in playing the sport of softball. I think that's the case for a lot of young women.
Even in the video tributes during senior day, Dallas Goodnight started to choke up when she thought about, like the journey that her dad has been on with her to get her to this point.
I think too, a lot, at least it was true for my case, you've got a dad that coaches, and that journey is sometimes can be tough. It can be frustrating, right? Just you're spending so much time with your dad on and off of this softball field, but then you get a chance to just reflect on the impact. Now as a grown woman, me on the other side of the game, but a lot of these young women still competing in a uniform, your dad plays a big part of that, plays a big role.
By the way, Pops has gotten like a couple of shout-outs. So
Oh,
we
yeah.
had the 8 Mile
Randy's
reference
getting some
back in
love.
the day, you know, a couple of days ago, and now.
He has been, my dad has been getting a lot of love on air so far through Athens.
Shout out to the dads.
Shout out to the dads. You got a good one too.
Yes, my boy Dale. We're rolling. He's got a full count now. As great work by our camera crew, our director. And the strikeout for Rolling. And she was fired up after getting her second K of the afternoon as Binford goes down swinging.
I mean, this is just a completely different look. There's a different air with Rolling in the circle today. Potentially about to collect her first 1-2-3 inning. I think done a really good job, at least through 2 2/3, at limiting the damage so far. These have been high-scoring games for both of these two teams. Lopez looks different in the circle for Ole Miss, Rolling a much different approach here in Game 3. It definitely appears like these two teams, at least from a pitching standpoint, took the hit in Game 1 and made some changes.
And then two, I mean, just the hunger for both teams, especially for this Georgia club who is in search of their first SEC series win. And Tony Baldwin knows just how important it is, but also that his team has always competed and been in ball games. He's been in some tight ones.
Yeah.
And so we'll get a chance to talk with him in the bottom half of the inning.
That is the case for both of these squads where we are in season. I cannot believe we're already into the middle of April. This is just wild to think how fast this season is moving, and I think the reality of it is both of these teams have got to turn some things around. Approaching the end of conference play, Georgia searching for their first series win. Ole Miss has let a couple of series just slip through the fingers, winning 2 of 5, and Jamie Traxel mentioning they have struggled on the road.
The 3-2 to Yamas. And the 2-out walk awarded to the freshman first baseman. So Yamas at first. Lexi Brady stands in.
Started to see some of those close outside corner pitches get called. Didn't get that call against Yamas. Doesn't get the call there against Lexi Brady. And that was a call she was getting through the first 2 innings. Can be a little bit of a roller coaster there for the game plan, for the mental of Rolling. Trying to go back to locations that she was getting early in this ball game, and then all of a sudden, coin flipped.
Stays alive at 0-2 and fouled off by Lexi Brady, the senior out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Had 6 RBI, tied for most in an SEC game this season. Good job by Miller to make sure Yamas stays put at first. So now 1 ball and 2 strikes to Lexi Brady. The pitch.
Mentioned the single season home run record that Brady's chasing right now, tied for that record at 15 home runs on the season. We saw that home run in Game 1.
And lined out to Williams at third. That ends the inning. We'll get an opportunity to talk with
a 190 hitter, and I don't think that those numbers really tell the story for this freshman. It takes a lot to have struggled earlier in your career and still get that opportunity. It says a lot about the confidence that Tony Baldwin has in this young bat. But to step in early yesterday, set the tone, that pull side bomb that really opened the floodgates for Georgia. Only 10 hits on the year. This is her 53rd at bat, less than half of the average at bats of every other starting Bulldog in this order.
But Tony Baldwin knows offense. He knows hitting, right? And so he identifies when he looks at a player like Esther White, who comes in just kind of a quiet demeanor, but her bat speaks loudly for her. 4 of the 10 hits that she's had this season have been 4 home runs.
How about that stat?
Yeah.
400 when it comes to home runs of your total hits. To me, that speaks to the fact that, yes, she's trying to figure some things out, a young athlete, but as a freshman, being able to barrel up the ball the way that she is when she does see it well, I think she's going to have a pretty fruitful career in front of her.
So Lopez steps back in. 2-2 count to Esther White. Eye for ball 3. And the walk to White. Well, here's this weekend's featured baseball game. Number 15, Alabama, and number 9, LSU finish up their 3-game series tonight at the box in Baton Rouge. 6 Eastern, 5 Central, right here on the SEC Network. So the leadoff walk to White, back to the top of the order with Tyler Ellison, who lined out to first base. Her last time up, or first time up.
Have you been clocking the walk-up songs?
Oh, I have been, yeah.
Are you a Kendrick Lamar
I
fan?
am
Me
absolutely
too.
a Kendrick Lamar
So
fan.
were you on a team between the
that
beef,
enough?
the Drake beef, the Kendrick Lamar beef?
Oh, he was, yeah, Drake was decimated. All right, there could be a double play, and no, as Tyler Ellison is able to beat it out, but they do get the leadoff runner at second base. So Esther White trots back to the dugout, and Tyler Ellison is now at first.
I would agree with you.
It wasn't as close as
that play
that
right
play,
there.
right,
I
yeah,
would agree
yeah.
with you. Kendrick Lamar has put out some bangers lately. And I believe that was Tyler Ellison's walk-up song.
It was. I like that you're keeping pace with this. I mean, we
I'm
are
trying.
the musical
We are.
crew.
There's a lot of dancing that you guys are not seeing when you're hearing us on air. There's a lot of movement in the booth.
But we are only feeding off of the energy. You saw the cha-cha slide and the movement in the dugout
Well,
for
and
the players.
if
so
you're
we
not
gotta have
hearing
that.
it at home, this is also a stadium that has invested in some pretty substantial new speakers. So this stadium is rocking and rolling. A lot of good music pumping through the ether.
Well, Dallas Goodnight knows how special it's been to play here at Jack Turner Stadium since coming over to Athens, and she had been on the road and visiting with an opposing team in conference before, but she calls this home now, and it's one of the few times remaining that she'll get an opportunity to play in the Jack. Among the softball fields and parks how does this rate, especially with the new addition of the facility?
Well, I have always loved Jack Turner Stadium because it sits up so high. I love our point of view. We've got a classic bird's eye view right on top of home plate. Lopez sitting down Dallas Goodnight, now an 0 for 2 evening or afternoon for Goodnight. But yeah, this is a facility that I think only continues to get better. You can see on the upper left side of your screen that $38.5 million facility. The new locker room, the new indoor, the new weightlifting center. I mean, they've got it all. New coaches' offices, team room, locker room, it's all of it. Had a chance to call Love Stadium's first game, University of Oklahoma. We've mentioned Ole Miss getting some new digs, a $33 million facility. I mean, there's a lot of resources and a lot of acknowledgement, a lot of love going softball's way. I love to see it.
The wild pitch allows Ellison to advance now into scoring position. So Lindy Ray Davis, who can slice this lead in half or potentially tie it at all. Well outside for ball 3. 3-0 the count.
SEC Championship. The tournament will be played right here in Athens.
May 6th to the 10th. Davis taking all the way. Fly it out to center field. Back in the first. And you and I talked about just Lindsay Ray Davis on Thursday and how cool it is for her to be donning a Georgia uniform and her successful career that she's had, and just sticking with this program and seeing it through, and to be living out the dream of suiting up for the Dogs.
I mean, she was part of that recruiting class just before the NCAA rulings changed. Tony Baldwin recruiting her, I think, what he said, 8th grade season. She has been a Dog from the start.
And Lopez gets back-to-back strikeouts to end the inning.
She's a gamer.
She's in the hole. We'll see her in the top of the 4th as Mackenzie Pickens at the plate. But I mean, 3 home runs, including a grand slam, 4 for 7. I mean, have yourself a. They always say, have yourself a day. Have yourself
a weekend, baby.
A weekend, baby. The 2-1 count as Rolling delivers. Sharply hit, pulled down the third base line. And Mackenzie Pickens is aboard safely with the leadoff single here in the top 4. So Lair Boutte, who grounded out to first base. He's back at the plate. .413 average on the season. Leads the team in both batting average and on base percentage. And we're talking about a player who is just both confident, brings a positive energy. Boutte flares that one out to left. 1 down.
It's a senior that's trying to settle back in after coming back from an injury. We mentioned the contact with the outfield fence last week and been a little bit slow to recoup, but has gotten a couple opportunities here in the last 2 games.
And Lansdale, first pitch swinging and rolling, tried to scoop it up with the glove. Wouldn't stay in, and Lansdale legs it out. I'll say this, I was gonna ask about just what this battle was gonna be like between Rolling and Lansdale.
Yeah, it looks like Rolling goes with an off-speed pitch. Gets that spinner, a little bit of English on it, off the end of the bat from Lansdale. It's tough as a lefty because she would have had to have transferred that ball from her glove across the body for a throw. That's the safe approach, but again, it requires her to completely 180 her body for a toss to first. So you saw the attempt of her trying just to shovel it with the glove, and because of the spin on that ball, unsuccessful. It's a tough play for Rolling. Looks like they are going to put that down as an error for Rolling.
Now pinch hitter and Jamie McKay at the plate in the 9 hole. McKay, who has been a utility player throughout. She can receive it behind the dish. She's also spent some time in right field as well. And we're talking with Jamie Traxel, a player who has just come into the season with a different type of approach, putting in the extra time and effort needed and necessary to be her best self. Gotten into that weight room, worked on nutrition, made that an even greater focus, in addition to being a terrific student.
This is just a favorite of this team as far as her teammates and the camaraderie and the culture of this group. Her team loves her. She's very likable, committed, plays the game the right way. You mentioned just what she's done in the off season, really stepped up to the plate for this squad and for herself in her junior season, understanding that a lot of it's within her control.
The 3-1. And the walk to McKay. So Lansdale and McKay, both with baseball backgrounds, switched over to softball, have had success here, and now the base is juiced. And we see Angelina De Leon re-entering the game at first base. A dangerous situation here for Randy Rolling, with this Ole Miss team threatening here again. Bases jacked, 1 out. Taylor Malvin tries to drop it in instead. The flare out in the left field, and the tag at the plate, double up, and that ends the inning. Great defense there from Georgia. B. Crown, first pitch swinging, and Goodwin, who made that outstanding play in left field to double up the Rebels, leads it off with a double here in the bottom of the 4th. Her 9th two-bagger of the season.
Nickname Shorty. Tony Baldwin said, "Shorty's my girl." Just the life of this locker room, the life of this team. Never has a bad day. Has big hits and big moments. We saw the big double play to end the inning, the top of the 4th, and then comes up and slams one down the line for double.
And Sarah Gordon now at the plate, 43 RBI on the season. And Gordon is hopeful that they can take advantage of a runner in scoring positions. The 3rd straight inning we've seen that from Georgia. Can they push across and manufacture a run here?
They've left 3 on base.
And we've been in awe of it. Tony Baldwin was as well. And certainly to the delight of the coaching staff when you see the jump that Sarah Gordon has made, not only in average, but her RBI production as well.
Yeah, I mentioned that sophomore season just didn't go the way that she really had pictured it. She stayed on campus all last summer, really prioritized getting into some of the best shape she's ever been in. There was a quote that he said in relation to Gordon that I highlighted just even for myself. There is no greater confidence than earned confidence. And this season, she earned the right to walk with her chest a little bit taller.
She's aboard now with the base on ball, so JT D'Amico, first base coach, having a quick conversation. As there's going to be a meeting in the circle for Ole Miss. Nancy Evans coming to make a trip here.
What an iconic beat. Little lip gloss. Iconic.
And I'll tell you this, whether it's Lopez or Benford in the circle, you know, they can get it popping, but you've got a Georgia team who's threatening right now.
Yeah.
And wanting to erase this 2-run deficit. So for Nancy Evans, you know, what's she imparting or making sure that she reminds Lopez about?
I think Lopez has to know that she has to really be sharp around the strike zone. Digby was walked back in the second. Had a little bit of noise that she made back in game 1, is able to punch gap to gap, and so there's a threat right now at the plate for Ole Miss. This game could change in one swing. There's no outs on the board. Defense has to play sharp. But for Lopez, it's, again, mixing and spotting that off speed. You asked the question to Jamie Traxel, what is Lopez going to continue to have to do to be successful in the circle? And it's be aggressive and attack the strike zone. And she does. I try sometimes.
I like it.
It was the lip gloss song that got me locked in for that answer.
Your answer was popping. And Digby pops it up on the sacrifice bunt attempt, so everybody stays put and one away.
Oh, the cardinal sin of our game is popping up that sac bunt. I mean, that is an opportunity. That is an execution play that you work on over and over and over again in practice. You're down 2 runs. If you're asked to lay down a bunt to move your runners, find a way.
Marissa Miller has an opportunity now. Remember, she singled back in the second. She's got one of the 2 Georgia hits this afternoon. Tied her up on the inside. A nice play made by DeLeon to get the sure out at first base as the runners advance now to second and third.
Mentioned the prowess that DeLeon has been on the dirt for Ole Miss. Played a lot of second base last season, has locked down some innings for them at third, and now flexing her ability at shortstop.
Over.
A little bit of a defensive shift against Mua Williams. See Pickens on the other side of second base. This is without a doubt a shift, playing into the power, the scouting report of Mua Williams. Here's one thing I can tell you. I think a lot of players standing at the plate can get very mental in seeing this shift. But you know what it would tell me? I know exactly where I'm going to be thrown. They are not going to give me anything on the outside part of the plate. Why would they? I mean, you can see it. She's getting hammered under the hands. Everything has been curveball inside. If you know that, if they're setting up the defense for you to play into that, it's like basically giving you a tip of the pitch. Open up that front side, turn and burn, baby. Turn and burn.
Well, the 1-2 count to Mua Williams. And the chopper, Pickens in the right place, but bobbles it, and 2 runs come in, and we're even at 2-all.
Oh, just
in the perfect position
literally
defensively.
This is an off-speed pitch, Tiffany. I mean, Lopez doing a beautiful job at pitching to her defense. Pickens is standing right where she needs to be and doesn't make the play.
This one popped up. And Brady can't make a play.
You know, looking back at my notes, I had a chance to call some Ole Miss softball late February, and the answer that I got from Jamie Traxel at that moment of area of weakness was defense. At that moment in the season, they had 29 errors in early February, or early March, excuse me, and this was one of the things that they had hammered in practice, is for plays like that. I mean, that just changed the game.
You're absolutely right, and in talking with Coach Traxel, you know, she just underscored, hey, it's tough to outscore walks and errors, and there was a wonderful opportunity for you to get out of the inning if able to execute. Instead, the inning extends and continues as the base hit there from Esther White.
There's still some ball game left, so I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here. But this has been the story for Ole Miss. Ball games that were in their hands, they're doing the right things, they're making good plays, they've got the game plan and the strategy, and then it just falls apart at the end. I mean, that really has been the nature of some of their losses in Game 3. Where Coach Traxel said it feels like we had the series. It felt like we were just on the brink of walking away with a series win, and then we can't get it over the finish line.
Well, you go back to a couple of series ago against South Carolina. Game 1, bases loaded, and they give South Carolina a 1-0 win in extras. Ole Miss out-hit South Carolina in that one. Okay, the Rebels decide they come back, a 1-run game as well, and then in Game 3, couldn't overcome a big deficit from the Gamecocks. You shift to that Gator series last weekend, a wild one in Game 1 like we saw here. And then again, the score wasn't necessarily indicative in Game 2 of how tight they played the Gators. Things just kind of got away late in the ball game, but this is a group who is trying to finish and work on finishing. And there, Bree Lopez puts that one up appetizing for Ellison, but not.
Fifth. There's still been some walks on the board, but defense has stepped up behind her. She's made competitive pitches through the zone. Overall, I just think she's managed her innings a lot better today in Game 3.
So a tie ball game here is top 5. Jaden Pone leading it off. Pone in her second year with the program, was the Big South Player of the Year and Freshman of the Year during her time at Longwood before coming over. Well, a fantastic weekend of softball. We've got a big Game 3 coming up between Alabama and Florida, LSU and Texas. The rubber match as well today.
A lot of good softball today. Oklahoma and Mississippi State, due to weather, pushing their doubleheader to tomorrow.
This one right behind home plate. Nobody makes a play for it, and Pone remains alive. And you and I were having a conversation before today's game just about how this season it feels wide open. I mean, you've got 15 teams in the SEC and arguably the toughest conference, right, in softball. Anybody can come out of here. Multiple teams can come out of here and make it to the Champ Series. But just around the league, I mean, there are a number of teams, or rather around Division I softball, they're going to vie for those 8 spots at Oklahoma City, just over the head of the pitcher rolling. Jaden Pone is aboard safely.
Yeah, just looking at the scores here across the nation, LSU and Texas are in a rubber matchup. They're tied up at 1 apiece in the top of the 6th inning. Boston College is up 4-2 against 15 Clemson. Ooh. We are, of course, are tied up here in the top of 5th. There's a lot going on.
Sharply hit. And Binford lines out to short and is retired.
Central Florida is up 1-0 against Oklahoma State, ranked at 24th in the polls. They're in the top of the 5th inning. There is potentially some upsets that are brewing here in the top 25.
I mean, Jaden Pone is getting some attention there as she trots down just to make sure she's okay. Not sure what happened on a slide back in potentially.
Oh, we saw a little bit of a freeze frame on that line drive. It was a delayed return, it looked like to me. Yeah, the dive looks clean. To me, it was that when she pumped the brakes after that leadoff, it was a very delayed return into first base.
Everything checks out. She's all good and back to play.
Really tough out that Percy Yamas has been. In her freshman campaign, only 5 strikeouts on the season. Has a tough eye. Pitch recognition is just off the chart. She really is tough to sit down.
Well, after the offensive explosion we saw from Ole Miss in Game 1, 11 hits and 27 at-bats with runners on, you see just 2 of 20 for a game and some change here. But a great piece of hitting from Yamas into the left center gap, and it's Yamas who's going to drive home the run, and that's the go-ahead run for Ole Miss. They're back on top. Percy Yamas continues to impress. 43 RBI on the season off of this gap double.
I'm going to get picky for a second here. Goodwin has to take a better angle to this ball. There is no reason why this ball should hit the wall. If she takes a deeper angle, a bigger drop step off the bat, reading that ball, the angle that it's taking, if she can keep it off of that back wall, I think you potentially keep a run off the board there. The go-ahead at bat.
And we saw her make an outstanding play in the outfield earlier in this game. So Star Ferguson is the pinch runner for Percy Yamas at second, with Lexi Brady back up.
You know, I say that's being picky, and maybe it is to some, but you're the last line of defense. The game's tied, right? Where we are right now in this series, let alone the conference at large, those types of details. Seriously, I mean, that I just cannot stress that enough. That level of detail in playing your position, keeping a ball off the wall as the last line of defense is crucial. crucial.
Well, Aaron, having experience
Yeah.
as an outfielder and winning a couple of national championships, it looked like it could have been more of a charge, but it's hard for me to say from up here.
She took a little bit of a straight across approach instead of opening that body, backstepping, meeting the ball where it's headed instead of where it is the best way I can kind of describe it. But as an outfielder, I mean, that is your specialty, is reading. It's like math, right? It's geometry. You're trying to read the path of that ball, how I can meet that ball to keep it off of the outfield fence. And in that particular situation, I believe that could have kept the run off the board.
All right, for ball 4, and Brady is aboard with the walk. And then how does that impact or affect Randy rolling in the circle? Because as we've mentioned, gave up a run in the first and the second, and then kind of really got into a much better rhythm here today. How does that impact her?
It's tough when you've got a staff that historically has struggled to throw strikes. Then she brings it closer into the zone. I think she's managed the zone a lot more aggressively today, but you expect then that there's probably going to be some more contact made. You need that defense behind you to step up, to have your back, just to give you some confidence to throw.
Look, we're going to see it consistently as a play at third base. Star Ferguson is able to slide there in time.
Ole Miss just putting the foot on the gas. Catching Georgia defense a bit on their heels here. Star applying some pressure on the base paths.
The double steal in this one. Got the knob of the bat for Pickens. Correction there, it's LSU, Texas. That big rubber match already in action. And the strikeout there from Rolling. And the fans like it here inside the Jack as the third strikeout of the game. Sharply hit, bouncing off of Tyler Ellison. And that double steal coming in handy right there is tacking on some more insurance for Ole Miss. It's now 5-2.
You're exactly right, Tiffany. It's the double steal that gives way for this. This is a routine, should be. It was hard hit, but a play that needs to be made from Ellison at second base. And because of that extra 60 feet that Ole Miss pushed for, it allows for 2 runs to come across. They are going to give that as a fielding error at Ellison at second base. In my opinion now, 2 plays defensively, one of them not marked an error out there in left field for Goodwin, that have resulted in runs for Ole Miss.
Some of these miscues, Tony Baldwin is hoping to clean up. This is an off weekend after, there will be an off weekend after this series is complete. And so things they'll look to sharpen up as they close out the regular season and head into the SEC tournament. Bobbled there and dropped as Boutte is standing now in scoring position.
You could see the smile from Boutte. After this play, she stands up and kind of gives the shrug like, I don't know, why not? I went for it. It paid off.
Lansdale at the green light.
That was a big swing. A swing of someone that's hit 4 bombs in the last 4 games.
Full count. And another walk. Second of the inning. Giving up by Rolling. 6 in total. And you can tell just from whether it was the Yamas base hit, the double steal, the Lair Boutte kind of takeoff, they can sense something.
Yeah, there is something, there's a crack right now in the door, and Ole Miss is vying to kick it in, I think, is the way it feels. If I'm Tony Baldwin, and you and I have had a few conversations now with him, these are the moments where he's waiting for Georgia to kind of puff their chest, to buck and rear back, right? To have that dog in them. That despite a little bit of miscues on the field, there's still fight. There's still a little bit of pride and some ownership. I mean, there is a series on the line here.
Popped up in the infield, calling for it is Digby. She's there, and that's out number 3, but not before Ole Miss tacks on 3 more runs for insurance. Well, 2, 3, 4 due up here for the Bulldogs. And right now, we're going to kind of lean on some of the seniors that we saw in Dallas Goodnight and Lindy Ray Davis, who's on deck to try to start the charge. And that's exactly how you do it. You use the wheels of Dallas Goodnight. And she beats out the hit on the infield and the single to lead it off.
On game 1, I talked about the triple G's. Dallas Goodnight, Jaden Goodwin, and Sarah Gordon, who it now with Goodnight working her way on, those 3 will come up to hit this inning. This team kind of goes as those 3 go. Per Tony Baldwin, all 3 of those young women really supply a lot of force offensively for this squad. A lot of leadership.
You see Goodnight with 24 stolen bases, as you talked about, and just not maybe a matter of if but when.
Where is this pitch? If you are Lopez, you are scratching your head. Where do you go from there? Granted, Lexi Brady.
And Goodnight gets underneath the tag just in time, and that was a heck of a play by Brady behind the plate, because that one was high. And Goodnight kind of stumbled there for a second halfway through.
It didn't appear De Leon was happy about this call, but it's the right call. It looks like Goodnight's hand sneaks in there behind the tag. And where I was going before Goodnight lit up the wheels was that pitch that was not called for Lopez. Because of Lexi Brady having to be quick in a transition to protect against that speed, she's unable to stick and frame that pitch to try and get a strike call.
Ruling on the field is that the runner is safe at second base. Ole Miss is challenging that the runner was out at second base. They're using their first review on this play. Play's under further review.
Well, that's Matt Dial, crew chief, and so they will review this one. And again, from the first angle, it looked like Goodnight got in there
with
safely.
The hand, yeah. But I think this is a really good example back to that ball call, the strike call. The pressure that Goodnight's speed applies to teams, and from that angle, it appears, in my opinion, that this call will be upheld. The fact that her speed, Tiffany, is affecting balls and strikes. It's affecting the catcher's ability to really stick a frame.
After further review, the ruling on the field is being upheld. The runner is safe.
But I like your point just about kind of searching for where is that strike, or rather, where's that pitch missing? How can Lexi Brady frame that? And you've got she's a veteran catcher behind the dish. You've got a crew that's been experienced this senior battery. But all those little nuances in the game that I love that you are able to point out and see, Aaron, because it also brings to view for the viewer at home to kind of appreciate, to see, okay, what happens from that moment on.
And that truly is a split second. Lexi Brady taking just that tiny millisecond to hold that pitch in the strike zone to get a strike call, and she can't even give that to her pitcher because of the pressure of Dallas Goodnight potentially running on Lexi Brady. I mean, that her speed is affecting this at bat.
And slices that one, and Lindy Ray Davis is retired. One thing that if Georgia is going to come back in this game, they've got to be able to capitalize with runners in scoring position. So far, 0 for 7 today, and over the last 4 innings now, they've had opportunities. Can Jaden Goodwin help him capitalize? She had a double to lead off last inning.
This was a young woman that Tony Baldwin started recruiting and identifying at a young age. Saw her playing at 12 and under at the Final Four of the PGF. Facing some other prominent names in our sport. Facing S.J. Guerin, Rothrock from Florida. And this name was playing with some of the best.
The 3-1 to Goodwin. And flies out to left field, and Goodnight stays put at second base. Well, Goodnight, who led off the inning with a single, stole second base. And let's see if Sarah Gordon can keep it moving, as that one a wild pitch. So Goodnight 60 feet from home.
Now and all it takes is a base hit. Limited opportunities left for Georgia right now. They're just going to have to take advantage of any opportunity in front of them. And right now, 1 run would help cut that deficit back.
Well, just as you mentioned, Aaron, Sarah Gordon is a player that they have relied on throughout this lineup to be able to drive home runs. 43 ribbies on the season. Takes that one inside for ball 2.
9 home runs on the year. Has the long ball in her tool belt.
The hot shot to second base, the stretch out, not in time. They're gonna say off the bag. And an RBI for Sarah Gordon. And that was a really close play. Be curious to see if Jamie Traxel maybe looks to review that one.
And we may have 2 reviews in the same inning. We saw the review at second base with Dallas Goodnight. Looks like she's asking for a conference here between Blues. I will tell you, from what we just saw, the naked eye watching this play develop at first, looked like a heck of a stretch from Percy Yamas at first base. I didn't see the foot leave the bag, but potentially something beyond our point of view.
Some equipment malfunction there for Matt Dial.
Ruling on the field is that the runner is safe at first base. Ole Miss is challenging the call on the field. This play's under further review.
Okay, another look here. The Hawkeye angle that we've got right here, and it looks like it's just slightly off. I mean, like...
Is there a cleat? Is there a metal cleat hanging on for dear life? We need to pull out a magnifying glass for that one. My goodness, what a stretch from Yamas.
After further review, the ruling on the field is being upheld. The runner is safe.
So Jamie Traxel 0 for 2 in her challenges this inning. And credit Georgia for cracking away at this lead now 5-3, finally able to score a run with a runner in scoring position, and it was Sarah Gordon.
Especially with 2 outs on the board.
Well, hit it in no man's land, but the flip in time, and Digby, even though sliding to first base, is out. Well, 1 run put up. Still a 2. We'll try to slow down these bats for Ole Miss and keep it at bay. A great effort from Goodwin in left field. So we've seen some good efforts, and Goodwin showed off right there. Great chase.
This is the advantage of knowing your home turf, right? Playing at home, you know exactly how much room you have up the line. That is a large foul line up the left side of this field. A couple changes defensively for Georgia. Castori's now in right field.
And Castori, the sophomore out of Buford, Georgia. Pone right back to Backus. Quickly 2 down.
Quick work for Lily Backus, a lefty, mid-60s. And the challenge for her has been between the ears. And talking to Tony Baldwin, this is a young arm, a veteran arm, a senior arm that has all the tools in the tool belt, just has to believe she's got it. Threw a complete 7 yesterday, I think was the pivotal puzzle piece for this team. They struggled in the circle in game 1, and she was able to really have an answer for that in game 2.
Binford lines right out to Dallas Goodnight. So 3 up, 3 down with a new pitcher in the circle. And Marissa Miller leads things off. So a few more defensive changes now made with Angelina DeLeon going back to third base. Lair Boutte now at shortstop for Ole Miss. And I believe Binford will be in the DP.
Potentially that tells me that Binford warming up or preparing herself to potentially come in the circle at some point.
You can't say enough of the job that Brianna Lopez has done in the circle for Ole Miss. Giving up just 4 hits, 3 runs, a couple of errors as that went inside on the hands, popped up, and Miller is retired. Lopez has really been doing a nice job of hitting spots, mixing speeds, and disrupting that timing with that off speed.
Again, 52 miles an hour. She has been so salty with that pitch. Georgia has not had an answer. They just have not had an answer for that pitch location or speed.
The 1-1 to Williams. And a wonderful diving effort from Jaden Pone. Jaden Pone with the web gem in left field.
Diving is already hard, but this is the hardest angle to read. This is out in front of her body. You've got to make that split-second decision whether I'm going to turn the glove over for a basket catch or keep the ball at my eye level. Facing the sky, that is a tough play to make.
Well, Pone, who is really come into her own this season in all phases of the game for Jamie Traxel. Which is very complimentary of the way that she's just been able to assert herself as Esther White now with a 2-0 count. Singled back in the 4th. Maybe another 2-out rally for Georgia like we saw last inning where they were able to put a run up. Pone called upon again and makes another grab. Oh my! 2 for 2 in the outfield for Jaden Pone, and look at her teammates celebrate her after that catch. Give it up for Jaden Pone, ladies and gentlemen. Great catches. And preserving this 5-3 advantage for the visitors. Mid the order here for 5-6 with Yamas, Brady, who've had a couple of walks here as Yamas with that double scored 2 runs back in the 5th. Also Pickens in the hole. This one popped up. And underneath it is Tyler Ellison, and Yamas is retired.
4 straight retired for Backus. She's been sharp. Only 9 pitches thrown since stepping in to relief for Rolling. One of the challenges of those 2 arms is how similar they can be in the circle, at least in talking to Tony Baldwin. He said they both got great stuff. The problem is that it's just lefty in the mid-60s, and we've got to have a little bit more contrast, a little bit more differential between those 2 arms.
Well, Lexi Brady tied with Dee Dee Justice with a single season home run record at Ole Miss. One more gives her that record all by herself. Big cut there and swing.
Backus climbing the ladder. She goes at the knees on that curveball, doesn't get the call, then elevates it maybe half of a pitch for the swing through. Just dancing with eye levels here against Lexi Brady.
That one coming right near us. That one's tagged into left field as Lexi Brady pulls it for a single.
There is nothing that's half done with Lexi Brady. The cuts that she takes, the force, the velocity through the zone. If she's going to make contact, you know it's going to have a little bit of pop behind it.
Pickens, who's 1 for 3 today, and that one into shallow right, and Pastore collects out number 2. So Backus just really picking up where she left off from yesterday's game. And Ryan Starr, who's at the plate, who's flexed out earlier, Claire Boutte. Starr getting her first swings of the day.
Backus has been trying to get that low strike, knee high. Hasn't gone her way yet.
That was 3 balls and a strike to Ryan Starr as Backus works quickly.
She does. She's got an urgent windup. Could potentially cause some frustration for Ole Miss just on pace of play and timing in the box.
And credit the Ole Miss batters today and pushing a number of 3-ball counts and just waiting on their pitcher to find the one that's right for them. And that one is low, and the walk to Starr.
Credit Matt Dial behind the plate. He has been consistent with the zone. That ball at the knees has not been called all day, and Backus trying to establish that kneecap strike. It's just not there.
Monday night, our next SEC Inside grants you an all-access pass to the Missouri softball team at 9 Eastern. You'll get never-before-seen footage and sound from players and coaches, a real behind-the-scenes look. And so the meeting in the circle is done. Chelsea Wilkinson walking back to the dugout, and Lily Backus and company ready to go here. 2 on, 2 out, top 7. And Ashton Lansdale. Receives the first pitch.
You can hear the crowd chirping. They want that call too, but it hasn't been there.
Popped up and out of play into the stands. I mentioned Lansdale's great streak of home runs the last 4 games. Had a solo shot back in the second. That one's in there for a strike from Backus.
Furthermore, you got to give credit for Ole Miss of understanding that strike zone. And while that may be a borderline pitch, they're understanding the zone that Matt Dial has given them, and they're laying off of it. You mentioned the deep at-bats. That has been absolutely the case for the Rebels. Patient at the plate. They have not chased a lot out of the zone, only 3 Ks now through almost 7 full innings.
Miller doing a nice job keeping everything in front, and so now a full count. The payoff. And this one is for out number 3. It's Backus wins that, but now George.
Yeah, without a doubt, the part of the order you'd want to send to the plate right now with the game on the line.
Ellison searching for a first hit of the game. The off speed there from Bree Lopez. You're bound to see it a few times within an at-bat. This Georgia team, who has battled throughout the Southeastern Conference season, has seen some close ones slip away. And Tony Baldwin knows that they're still writing their story. And if they could get a comeback win here today, it would be huge for them. It starts with Tyler Ellison. And that one very close, called for ball 3.
See the reaction from Lexi Brady. She even comes out of the frame quickly because she thinks she's going to get this call, no problem, and doesn't get it.
And this one into shallow left, and Tyler Ellison sits down. Dallas Goodnight now stands in. Puts it on the ground, puts the pressure on the defense, and Mackenzie Pickens can't get to it. It's a 1-out single. So you've got to think Dallas Goodnight with already a stolen base here tonight, leading the team in that category, that she will look to take off, try to get in scoring position, but this is something that Tony Baldwin is hopeful that if they're in that position that they actually make good, because they've had a number of missed opportunities throughout this game. Both, you could say that.
Oh, Dallas Goodnight's such an incredible table setter. She just wreaks some havoc on the base pass. She applies pressure. We've already seen the effects of that with Brady behind the plate.
Ray Davis flied out to left, popped out her last time up. Also a strikeout on the board. And Lopez, who is in search of her 3rd complete game of the season. On the 1-1 count. Now 2 balls and 1 strike. Lefty v lefty matchup with Lopez Davis, and that one clips in for a strike.
.115 pitches on the evening for Brianna Lopez. It's been a lot of work for her, trying to go the distance here.
Again, we saw her for a 1 2/3 inning yesterday, and then 3+ innings in game 1, and gets the strikeout of Lindy Ray Davis. 5th K of the game for Lopez.
On none other than a changeup. This pitch has been money. It has stumped the Georgia Bulldogs now 3 days in a row. They have not had an answer to that pitch.
So it comes down to Jaden Goodwin. Goodwin, who's gotten one of the 5 base hits off of Lopez today. Doubled back in the 4th. And just trying to keep this thing alive.
Georgia in search of their 1st series win. Ole Miss in search for their 3rd, this being their 6th series in conference play.
On the ground, and that's going to do it. 2nd win of the series for Brianna Lopez, and it delivers the series victory for the Ole Miss Rebels. A big win on the road here in Athens to take down number 23, Georgia. A 5-3 decision here, and Ole Miss picks up that 3rd series win you just talked about, Aaron.
You know, this has to feel good for Ole Miss, a team that has struggled on the road lately, to come to a very impressive house here in Athens. A lot of pressure that both of these teams are feeling at this moment during conference play.